kind of using them and reading through. There's so much out there, and the intention is we're going to do some like one-off, maybe once a month sessions, just to kind of catch up and share some bits and pieces. There's loads. I want to go back to Office 365 for tonight. When Beth and I were planning out, I said there's so much on 365 that people don't know about. And I think one of the big things I really banged on about was this accessibility. You're going to hear more about it. You're going to hear what's called ALF, accessibility, no, AFL. I prefer ALF. It's accessibility for learning. They missed a trick there. They could have made it a fun acronym. You're going to hear a huge amount about that. You're going to start noticing a lot more of your e-submit, like kind of when you use digital tools, people will say, well, have you made it AFL, which is rubbish. ALF. They got to work on making something which is a fun acronym. So my aim tonight is to look at a few bits and pieces I didn't really get the opportunity with on 365 last time. I want to look at OneNote, and I want to look at, again, just going through some of the subtitling, and I want to look at what's called Immersive Reader, kind of a tool that's really going to help people with reading, translation, sharing. There's quite a few little bits and pieces. Now, not all of these features are on everyone's 365, and all you've got to do is, firstly, get best buddies with your IT people, all right? Just like buy them a bag of crisps or something nice, you know, maybe a bottle of rosé, I don't know, and just say, can we have this on? And they'll add it on, because it's all free as part of the education programs, but yet they have to unlock it and stuff. So let's get cracking, because we have a busy night. No, I always get this wrong. The chat box is down there. So any questions, whack them in there. But I will say, if it's okay, can we just make sure microphones are muted apart from Beth Roberts, who is there somewhere? Beth?
I am here.
There's two of you.
Oh, yeah, there's me and my phone, just in case I have to walk away from me.
That's a little bit of Descartes there. If we're going to... There's a whole book on that.
I don't want to miss anything.
I'm going to send you Descartes' Fireplace, and you can read that. That's interesting. Okay, so if you want to walk away from yourself, you can do. So let's get cracking. So it is recorded. I will put it on YouTube once I'm on there. Someone was talking about very British problems. I thought I might as well share the link. I've also shared for tonight, I've put it on the Google Classroom page. I'll also just pop it in the chat box for you. One of the things that I found for tonight, because I'm going to look at some software for mathematics in the classroom, and it's daft thing they didn't put in there. They didn't actually put all the symbols for, like, if it's squared or cubed and bits and pieces. So you have to use these alt codes, which I'll go through tonight. That's the weather. Don't need that. So that's on there if that's okay. So the first piece of software I'm going to look at is I'm going to go to OneNote. Now, if I just go to Office 365, there we go, and you just log in. What you'll see on your screen when you go into it is these are the tools. Now, when you first go on, you might not get all these tools. I get all of these because I said, can I have them all? And they went, yeah, okay. I went, good. They said, well, don't need to be angry about it. I said, I'm not. I said, just put them on. You may just have 4 or 5 of them. But the first thing I want to look at is OneNote. Now, OneNote is, again, it's another one of these devious bits of software that for some reason no one knows about. And I'm thinking, well, really, you should. It's bloody brilliant. And we're going to start with a new notebook. We'll call this is it Thursday? This week's gone terribly quick. We'll just call it Thursday test. There we go. Now, OneNote is it's literally like a notebook.
It was like this downtown area.
Gotcha. It's a notebook for the individual or for sharing. Now, you've got several screens on Notebook. This first screen here is sections. So you can put section tabs in this. So let's think of it from a student's point of view. Let's create a section. Say they're doing whole number calculations. Okay, there you go. They've got a lovely little tab there. Maybe they want to put another tab in. Now, remember, this is something that you can create as a teacher. So think about this. Maybe the second tab is planning a holiday. I don't know why they're doing this, but they just are. And then the third tab is going to be, shopping and recipe ideas. What we're effectively doing is we're going back to the good old days of the 1980s when people had filofaxes, and you have created a filofax system. So let's go to this first tab that we have just created here. I wouldn't use OneNote in a Google Classroom. This is purely for Office 365, but I'm going to show you how you can share this with your students. So it does link in some way. So we've got this first tab, and then in this first tab, we can create a page. And this page, we're going to call this first page, I don't know, let's put the date in. Okay, so say they're working on this date here, and there they've got a page. They can create more pages as they go through. So, so this is Mr. Smith's class.
Around as much normally.
Just a quick one, guys. Make sure you're muted. Thank you. We can create more pages as we go through. So now we've got this little filofax where each one they can go on. They've got a fresh page of ideas. Now, someone asked about, can this link with Google Classroom? Well, it's Office 365. It doesn't really work with it, but I could share this. There's a share button. Now, this I can only share with people in my setting, but I can create this as the teacher, and I can send this as a share link to their email addresses. So say, for example, I want them to create a revision document. This could be my notes that I have made as I have gone along. You could share this with colleagues in your settings. So say you've got you want to create a tab for, management strategies in the classroom, or the next one is going to be some useful website links. What we've got here is a system for kind of compiling and sharing information. Now it goes one step further. We'll come to the maths in a minute. Let's take planning a holiday. So we're going to call this page, I don't know, where are they going on holiday? Cairo. Okay. Now, with this, like I said, it's just a notebook for putting as much stuff as you want down. It doesn't have it as pages. It just has it as a continuously big sheet. So on here, I can insert pictures from my file, from a camera, so online. So say I want to go online, Cairo. Lovely. I can put it in. I can create it's kind of like a scrapbook for different bits and pieces. Go, I don't know. Oh, whoops, don't do that. There we go. Control and Z is your friend. Oh, this is next to the hotel. Wonderful. Fantastic stuff. So you can start compiling bits and pieces. This little audio button here, it won't work now because I'm using Zoom, but if I click that, I can record little voice clips. So if I want to have, if someone doesn't want to type and they just want to go, I'll just put a little audio link in there. They can hit audio and they can just speak into it, and it records it as a little audio file. So if I hit audio there, it won't work because right now I'm kind of using the microphone for Zoom, but I can record a little voice clip next to it. So, if this is something that you want to do, you can get your students to record little voices and share it on that tab. I can add, there's lots of little things. I can add these emojis if I want to add emojis. Thank you. I can also draw bits and pieces in if I want. So if you do have a tablet, you can draw on it, you can play around it, you can circle it. Again, the great thing with this is that ability to have a collaborative scrapbook of ideas. And that's really the key thing going for it. Now, the thing I do like about this as well is it has Immersive Reader. Now, I'm going to come to Immersive Reader in a little bit more detail later on, but it's just to show how it does differentiate. Immersive Reader, for those that haven't seen it before, is a tool that reads back to your text. Again, I don't want to go too much into it. I'm just going to give a little bit of a heads up for later. I can change the background color. So again, if I want to think about scotopic sensitivity in Erlands, I can change the background, make it different colors. So maybe a light blue. And again, even when I share that, that can be individual for each person. I also have here a show authors button. So as I there, I've clicked show authors. So whoever has contributed to that board, that page, I can hit show authors and it will show me who put what and where. Page versions allows me to see the date it was edited and who it was edited by. So if I do have this document and I do have people putting bits and pieces in here and there, I can see the versions of it. And I can actually click through and get rid of it. I can go back to periods of time if I want to. Now, that's some of the kind of the basic features of using this tool here. Again, it's a great one. I can, like I said, I can put tables in there. I can add files. So if I want to add a PDF, say I've got like a policy or a plan that needs to be in there, you can add web links. So if I just want to call it to, you know, hotel address, you know, say I know the hotel, cairohotel.com. There you go. I've now added a web link to it. So I can add lots and lots of bits and pieces to it. Now, if you're adding a video to it, it has to be as a file. So you have to record the video and then it gets uploaded as a file. So it won't play it in there. I think the main thing is just about the size of how much everything is in there, 4 bits. But again, you can add a link if you want to do one and then put it onto YouTube and have that link to YouTube or Vimeo or another site. That's absolutely fine. Okay, now let's go through some of the additional features. Now what I've done here is I'm just going to revert back to the, there we go, the old one. You can make it a little bit smaller if you want, because you've got quite a few little bits and pieces in here which we are going to look at. And the main one I want to look at is under Draw. Now this is because I think this is a tool that a lot of people don't realize or see, and I think this is where it's really going to come into its own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to whole number calculations, and we're going to go to that awful lesson with Jeff for some reason. Now, our students have got a few options they can do here, and this is the thing I love about it. Let's say they're having some real issues with maths, and they get a math problem that comes up, and the math problem is 3x plus 2y equals, give me a second, I've got to work this out now. There we go. Let's try that. Actually, I'll probably make it easier for this and just, well, we'll go with that. There we go. Okay. And the math problem says you've got to solve x and y. Now, what we can do here is I can highlight that. So I've just highlighted the sum. I'm going to go to Draw, and then I'm going to go to Math. Now, what this is going to do for us, firstly, it turns it into our mathematical equation. And then I've got a few actions I can do here. I want to solve it. So I can solve it for x. So what I can do is I'm going to hit solve for x, and it will show me the steps for how to solve that equation. And it will give me the instructions of how to do it. Sean, Sheriff, you look amazed. Are you amazed? Brilliant. Let's try and make a simpler one for it. So I'll kind of show how it does. So again, let's go 3x plus 2 equals 11. So I just highlight it, go to Draw, go to Math. It puts into a lovely calculation for me, select an action, and I want to solve for x. And it gives me the answer there and then. And then I can show the steps. And it gives me these guides of how to do it. So it tells me what to do as the steps go and how to go through. Now, it's got Immersive Reader. So what I can do is I can hit this. Now Immersive Reader, I'll go for it, and it will play it. It will let me listen to it. I'll come back to that in a second, but it will read it back to me. Now, it doesn't just have to be for that. Let's take another question. So let's take it's 15 plus 8 equals. Again, I hit that, I hit draw, I hit math, puts into a sum, and it can evaluate it, factor it, round it. Let's go evaluate 23. And it will show me the steps. One step, okay. Would anyone like to put a math question? Is there any math teachers here? Would you like to put one into the, because someone asked a question about, will it work for numeric problems? Now, are you meaning things like where like Frank's got 10 watermelons and he buys 6 more, how many watermelons has he got? No, it won't work that. If you put in a long-winded piece of text, it won't work like that. You've got to, so that's kind of a good thing in a way, because it means the students have got to start pulling down the data. But it will kind of go through this. Now, what you can do with this as well, so let's get rid of these. You can draw it in manually. So if the students, so sometimes it's a little bit difficult to put it in. So I can get my pen, get prepared. I'm dreadful with this. So if I have 2x plus 5y equals 28. Oh, okay. Normally I'd say use a stylus. That sort of thing, say, is on an iPad or an Android device. Again, I can hit math. Now what I'd say here is you've got to select it. So what you do is you draw like a little lasso over it. It picks up the numbers and I go math. And what it'll do is it'll convert it to my numbers for me. Select an option and I can solve for y, and it will tell me, and it will show the steps for solving that equation, which is quite nice. Is there a list of codes for including text in a different language? Yes, there is, and I will put the link to that later on. So that'll be fine. Now, the thing I love about this is, well, and I'm going to kind of go through, this is where that next step of bits and pieces comes through that's really useful. So let's take 2x, and then it's Alt 0178, plus 10 equals, oh, I don't know, that will solve it for me. I'm going to hit math. I'm going to solve, I'm going to evaluate it. Maybe it will put it down to a nicer version for me. So say, for example, it's asked them to evaluate a question. You've got this wonderful little button here, and it says generate a practice quiz, because this is what we want. So I'm going to hit generate practice quiz based on that one example I've provided. I've got to sign in, because I forgot to sign in. I'm going to generate, I want 10 questions, and I'm going to generate a quiz. Now what this will do on OneNote is it will take that question and it will create for me a list. It will create a quiz, an instant quiz for students based on that question that I have created. So once they do one, you know, because I always used to find when I was in school and I'd do one and, you know, I'd be like, okay, did I actually get it right, or was I blagging it? Did I just get lucky with a guess of how it is? But this can take that example question that you have provided and create an automatic little quiz for them. Now what I can do is, say that, for example, I go through here and I go, oh, okay, it's that. All right, don't laugh at me. I wasn't that great at maths. Let's just, if I get all 4 of these right, I want a cup of tea from somebody. I then hit submit. It says thank you, and I view results. And I got 25%. The even better thing is this. Because I've logged in with my teacher's account and I've shared this with my teachers, these results will get emailed directly to me as the teacher. So I know which students have created a quiz. I know which students have got results and how they got on. I know exactly what they did as they went through. And they've got this fun little quiz for them to play with. Pretty cool. Now, if you use the education one, what it will do is you can actually turn off math. I haven't got the turn off setting, but on the education one for schools, you can actually turn off math mode. So yes, you can create and send it to learners. Absolutely fine. It creates it as a form and it actually saves it in your OneDrive. So it does save it in your storage, so you can then share it. But what it will do is, where was I? I've not even. What was I talking about? Charlotte's iPad.
Oh, you were coming off the maths problem.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. I was actually just keeping it on your feet. No, it doesn't just solve for deleting math. Thank you. Good. Yeah. Thank you. Someone's on the ball. So as a teacher, what you can do is you can actually turn off this math setting. So if you wanted to create a practice one on here and then share it with your students, you can actually turn off the math mode so that they can't just go onto another tab and put the sums in to work out what they're doing. Let's look at this next level. So say, for example, you wanted to do a simultaneous equation. So say, for example, we had 2x plus 5y equals 25. Okay, this is probably going to go horrifically wrong because I'm making this up off the top of my head. Okay. Now what I can do here is I can highlight, I can put math, and then what it does is, because I've highlighted them both together, it's worked it out as a simultaneous, and I can solve the x and y, and it will show me the steps through substitution and how to solve it. And that's always a nice thing to have there. So again, it's that extra little feature with it. Now, what else is good? Let's take this one here, for example, highlight it, click for math. Now, what I can do with this as well is I can graph it. So let's hit graph, and there we go. It's created a graph for me. I'm going to insert it on the page. So it's now taken that equation and turned it into a graph. And what I can do here is I can zoom out a little bit more. So say if I wanted a larger one, let's get rid of this one here, and I'll insert that one there. And that's always a nice little thing here. It's graphed it for me. Let's say we don't have, let's get rid of it. Let's just put another one in, 2x plus 3. And I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to draw, math. Nice. Let's put 2x plus 3y. Highlight, math. And then I'm going to, let's put equals 10. There we go. I can create a bit of around. I was mucking around with this the other day, actually. I had a great time with it. Hit the math button. Let's graph both sides in 2D. Now, what you can do with some of them when you go on, you can alter the bits and pieces if you want to kind of play around with it. But again, it just gives you these features here where you take that, insert it on the page, and they've got something to assist them and kind of help really. So it's a fantastic tool to help support mathematics, and it's completely free, and it's so strong. And I think it's one of the things, there's a lot of software that's out there, which after about, you do one sum and it's like, yeah, but give me £50,000, you can have the rest of it. I think something like this is a hidden little treat that people don't see about, and it is actively available. How do you get the 2 to go squared? Oh, the 2 to get squared is Alt, and then you hit 0178 on your number pad. So students could get OneNote to do their homework, yeah, completely. But what I would say to you then is, it's about what they do in the classroom. And the key thing is, if they do want to use something like this, it's kind of going, well, okay, but there's the steps to guide you. Now you're going to do it. And I think it's one of those things, again, just solid ruling in the classroom to help them. There is other software that's already out there to help do these questions. It's for a lot of them, it's getting that confidence to use the maths as they go through. And it's just a great tool. And again, if you create something like this and you share it with your class, again, what I can do is I can go to view and I can go to authors and the versions, and I can see exactly who's put what in and where and when they did it. And I can go back through all the entire history of that page that has been created. So if you do something like this and you want to share it, that's really the good one for them. Again, with this, it has got the dictation on it. So let me go back to my recent version. There we go. So if I do want to dictate, I can hit dictate and it will start to, hopefully in a second, it's recording right now my voice. So you don't just have to type, you can dictate it and it will hopefully write it on there. In a second, when it gets its game together, maybe I've got to change it to English UK. Are you recording me now or not? No, it's deciding not to have any fun today. I think it's because I got the microphone on for Zoom, so it doesn't like it too much. But it will dictate for you. There's these lovely little, they can add these little features here if they want to put bits and pieces in and little logos and stuff. So it's just a nice little fun. Is there a Welsh option? Yes, there's a translate tool as well, which is, let me just steal something I wrote earlier. So say, for example, I'm going to go a little bit into another tool in a minute, which is Immersive Reader. But say, for example, I've got this bit of text here. Now, what I can do is, that's why. Let me get off version, get off the show authors. I can highlight a piece of text and I can go to Immersive Reader. Now, Immersive Reader, for those that haven't seen it before, is, I'm going to focus more on the word side of it. But I can actually, when it goes to the text preferences, grammar options, reading preferences, I can translate it to different languages. So I can translate the entire document that is out there into a different language. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit more with regards to Word. How would I go about finding this for something like number bonds to 100? Well, firstly, Michael, I won't lie, I have no idea what a number bond is. So what I'll do is I'll do a teacher trick, which is called, why didn't you show me? So what I'll do, if it's okay, Michael, you got homework. Firstly, explain to me what a number bond is. Put a little video on our Google Classroom, because I have no idea what... Michael, are you there? Do you want to go unmuted? Two numbers that add up to 100.
Yeah, I am here, Julian.
So, Jack and Ori, tell us the
what you
story.
just shown was fabulous. What you just shown was fabulous, but I'm in year 6 and they wouldn't do all those type of equations, so I want to sort of see what we can do at that level. Okay, so if you were... I'm just trying to think. So you're looking like, so you want them to show like 30 and 70 and 60 and 40, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm not sure it does that. I think it's one of those things, I've only used it for a few bits and pieces really as a feature. I don't teach maths anymore, thankfully. But I think it's one of the things that to play around with. So what they could do, if we say that they come here, they could put some ideas. So maybe they have 36 and they have 64. And they go, oh, does that add up to 100? So they could go draw, they could go math, and it'll go, yeah, it does. Brilliant. Now put another one underneath. So maybe they could do it that way, but it won't do it the other way. I just thought of some myself. They could put 36 add x equals 100. Okay. Can I do that way? Oh, yeah. So if we do that. And I got to find what x is. Yeah, so they can do it that way. But then if they go to math, they can solve it for x. And then it will show the steps and it will show them how to do it. Okay. And then again, what would be great again, if that's what they're doing, generate a little quiz. Generate a little quiz. It keeps that same level of mathematics, which is solving for X, and it also keeps the number values. You know, it doesn't suddenly throw in 3 decimal place or 4 decimal place or something. It doesn't throw in a Y or a B. It keeps it all very much the same. I think that's quite a nice feature of it, because I remember the first time I did algebra and it was like 36 plus X. I was like, cool, get that. And then suddenly it was 36 plus C. And I was like, what the hell is C? So that's something like that's quite nice. It keeps the numbers quite even. So yeah, it's a little feature of it. So, okay. Some people are loving this, which is great. I'm really glad. That's OneNote. Get the chance, get involved. It's really good little tool. I think the thing I love about it, and I always love about it, is the flipped classroom approach. The fact that, you know, because I remember maths when I was at school, and, you know, I'd do one and I'd get it right, and I just thought it was a fluke. But having those little practice math, which is on the same sort of value of questions, is really going to help me. Could you use OneNote like Padlet too? Yeah, definitely. Again, something like this, you know, I could share this with members of my team. So maybe I have here, each tab is a different subject or a different topic, and I go, drop guys, if you've got any good websites, you want to whack them on there for me. So I need a website for this or an idea. It's basically just, it's an old school file of facts sharing system, but it's called OneNote. So it's pretty cool. Right. The next one I want to go to, I'll put the alt codes on for additional languages later. I'm going to go back to my apps, which is on Office 365. And I want to go to look at something called Immersive Reader. There's a lot of bits and pieces out there to support with dyslexia. But again, you've got free piece of software here, which is really useful. So let's take an assignment. So here's an assignment that I've just downloaded. And I'll look at some of the tools that's available on it. Now, again, the first thing with the 365, you've got the dictation that's on there. So if I hit dictate, what it'll do is it will start picking up the language that I'm speaking. Now, it only does this at the moment in English. So it won't pick it up with French. So if I say, je suis un baguette, it just gets it completely wrong. So that is a little bit of a shame with it. Get rid of that. But what we can do with this, and what I want to look at, is something called Immersive Reader. So under View, you have Immersive Reader. And this is why I think I like this for learners with dyslexia. What it does, firstly, when you first see it, actually, let me just change it. It will look like, let me just, sorry, get rid of back to how it was. It will look like this. Oh, if you want to dictate options to do punctuation, you just say full stop. I'll show you. So if I'll quickly show you that. So if I have a sentence here and I want to dictate it, if you want to put a punctuation at the end of a sentence, just say full stop. There, good. And that's how you do it. But you have to then remember what everything is. Stop dictating me. So let's go back to Immersive Reader. Now what this does is it gets rid, I think we looked at a piece of software last week about making things simpler and clearer to look at. This one, it gets rid of all of the bits and pieces in the background, the distractions. If you do want to get rid of any more, FN and F11 will make it full screen. So you can get rid of even more. So if you've got FN on your keyboard and F11, it gets rid of all the toolbars and bits and pieces. If you haven't got an FN button, just hit F11 and it will ping it up straight away. Now, Immersive Reader, you've got a few options here. I can increase the text size. Now that doesn't alter it on the actual final document. So say, for example, they've got to write it in size 12, but I just want to make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to read. I can change that. I can also increase the spacing between the text. So if I find it easier to read that way, I can change the font. I know Comic Sans is one of those fonts that a lot of people don't like, but for those who work with young people with dyslexia, they'll know that the bonus of Comic Sans is the only one that does the A correctly. Now, you'll notice if I put Calibri on, they put the little, that bit just at the top of the A. But Comic Sans is a great font for learners with dyslexia because it puts the A correctly. It makes it a lot clearer to see. I can also adjust the colors, and it gives me this huge color palette here. There's, a lot of teachers I work with, the new guys who are coming in, they go, oh, I've made the background blue because it's clear for my, well, some people like a light yellow background, some people like a light peach, some like a green. It's very individual to that person. I think last week we had black with white, and some people love that, and it worked really well. So they can change the background of the document, make it very clear for them to see, read, and understand. And that's that text preference sector on Immersive Reader. The next sector we've got here, which is really cool, I can actually put in the dots as to where the syllables are broken up in words. Again, if they're looking to how to read a word, especially if it's a really, the amount of times I've tried reading a word is I have to kind of go, well, how do I say that? I don't always know it. I can now look at this word here and go industry. I can see how it's broken up, qualification. And that's just this little syllable tool here. What else can I do? I can identify parts of speech, and it'll pick up where my nouns are, where my verbs, my adjectives, adverbs, and it'll even put the little labels above them if I want. So if we have got students and they're trying to understand all those different grammatical elements, say that's something in there, you could set them a test, write a sentence, and it's got to have a verb, an adjective, and a noun in, or something like that, and they've got to identify where it is. They can check it with this. So this is part of the Immersive Reader grammar options that is available. So that's always a good little thing. Now the final section here is the reading preference. So they can put focus on each line. So line focus means that as they scroll down the page, so let me just go through here, it just colors out everything else but keeps that line helping to focus on the reading. So they can break it down and go for a lot clearer. So that's just the line focus. And I can do that for one text, I can do it for 3, or I can do it for 5 if it's a larger one. The thing I really like about this as well is picture dictionary. This is especially useful for learners whose English is a second language, or sometimes third or fourth. Because what I can do is if I hit picture dictionary, I can now click on a word and it gives me
Good.
the word, how to pronounce it, and it gives me a little picture to help understand what that word means. So laws.
Laws.
Brilliant. Now, it doesn't have it for, I'm not sure if you draw a picture for regulations, but it does have those kind of little pictures there just to help understand what is meant by that word. I can translate. So if I hit translate, I can even translate the entire document. So that takes a little bit more time. I'm going to just do it by word. So what that's going to do now is I can click on the word and it will show me it in English and it will show me it in Welsh. And the same again. Now it doesn't pronounce it back in Welsh. It's one of the things it doesn't have, but it does do it in other languages. So if I translate it and say I've got a student who is Portuguese, they can click on a word.
Questões contemporâneas.
Okay, there's a reason why that's happened. If I go back to my, I can go back to this. So we can speed it up and we can play around with it, which I'll do in a second. Brilliant, good. So let me just get rid of the reading preference. I don't want the line focus on, it annoys me. Now, at the bottom of the screen here, you'll see the play and the voice settings. Now, I can change the voice settings and I can change the speed of it. So maybe I want it just a little bit of tortoise speed and I want to get told off by a woman. So there we go, fantastic. Again, I can pick on the word.
Questões contemporâneas.
Brilliant. I can now speak fluent Portuguese. I can go through from the start and I can hit play.
In light of contemporary issues within my industry, including inadequate teaching practices.
Lovely. So I hit that voice settings. I can get told by a bloke or a lady, and there we go.
Practices, and portraying this report will cover aspects which challenge the beauty industry.
Go back to the reading preferences, have it as a translate. I don't know, got French, hit the whole document, and there we go, we've now got it.
Danger de la formation. Formation non qualifiée au sein de l'industrie de la beauté. Résumé.
Wonderful. And that's Immersive Reader. Now that Immersive Reader is actually on all of the software that's on 365. It's on OneNote, so it will do it for the mathematic calculations. It does it on PowerPoint, it does it on Excel, it does everything. Now I've played around with this and I've changed it, I've mucked with the background, but if we hit the back button, there's our original document. It hasn't altered it, it's kept the font exactly the same, so the students will still submit a piece of work that looks the same as everyone else's, but they can still have that individual support that's needed and that's available. And that's Immersive Reader, and that's one of the great tools about this. That is available on the Outlook and OneNote sections. Okay, any other questions at all about Immersive Reader for Word? Pop them in the chat box. I think we've got a few people who are saying about, as a literacy and numeracy tutor, learners with additional leads, yeah, it's a huge one. It's really kind of useful. Bloody awesome, we like that. That's a very British thing to say, we like that. It is, and again, it's completely free. So let's look at another app. Again, and you can just copy text from any document. Yeah, you can copy text from, so if I just quickly pop back to my Word, you know, I've uploaded, these are on my OneDrive anywhere, but say I've got something else, you know, they can write from a new blank document, or I can't see here, where is it? I can drag and drop a document out there, upload and open. So I can upload a document that's on my computer and I can put that in there, and that's absolutely fine. So yeah, it's really useful. Let's go back to the PowerPoint, because there were a few bits I didn't really look at with PowerPoint, which I just kind of want to recap before we kind of finish up with this. So with the PowerPoint settings that we had here, I think last week we looked at the dictation, and again, just go over the how to do the subtitling. If we go to, sorry, it's just having a little moment. Just let it play catch up. It's worked hard tonight. There we go, fantastic. So let's go to our slideshow. Again, we've got the subtitles here. Now, from what I understand, acceptable as a reader for access arrangements and exams. Yes, yeah, absolutely fine. It's one of the things Microsoft did a lot of work with the education teams, and there's huge amounts of places that are getting behind it. This is why you're seeing a lot more of 365 coming into schools. So it's definitely there. Now the subtitles, again, for those that weren't here to see it the first time, under slideshow, we have subtitles, and we can have, it will pick up which language you're speaking in. Now it doesn't have Welsh on the spoken language, but it does have French, German, Spanish. So say we're speaking in English, and I can change the subtitle language. So if I want the subtitle language to be in Welsh, So if I am delivering a presentation, let's say I'm delivering a presentation in my school. Again, think about things such as when you're at assemblies and those bits and pieces. And you can have the translation appear at the bottom of your document. Now, one of the things that somebody spotted was they said, well, can we download these translations? And I have searched high and low, and unfortunately not. The only way you could do it, which I think would be useful, would be to record as a Zoom video, and then they have those translations available for them as they go through. So that's what I would be saying to you. You can do that for multiple languages. You can go back and forth with it with the subtitles. You've also got the rehearse with coach. But the last one I'll look at on PowerPoint is present live. So someone's popping some questions. Reliability with the Google translations. This one isn't actually too bad. I think the thing with this, because it's a 365 package and it's online, what it's doing every time, it's developing as it goes. So it is improving. I think it's one of the best that I've seen for Welsh translations. I think it's always going to be difficult with something like Welsh translations, but it is actually one of the best that's out there. And I think it's having it as an option for students that's really kind of useful. Now, under PowerPoint, you also have Present Live. Now, Present Live is what you can do here. If you're teaching asynchronously, you can set up this screen here. Again, put it on Zoom. Now, your students can actually scan this here. So if you've got an Apple phone, you can actually just open your camera and it will scan it. Or if they got a QR reader, or they can use this web address that's at the top here. And what they can do is they can actually see your PowerPoint on their own tablet device and their phone. Now, the benefit of this is that they take part in your class. You can see how many are joining as a teacher, and they can react to each slide that goes through. So you can have, there's little emojis that go through. You still get the subtitles along the bottom, so they can take part in the session as it goes through. But what they can also do, for you guys who may want to join in tonight, you have to have a login, an Office 365 login, but we won't worry too much about that tonight. But what they can do with this is they can recap previous slides. So say you're doing a 30-minute, 40-minute session with them, and they want to look back at a previous slide, it stores it, and they can reload and then go through it. So that's presentation live. And that's one of the things that is available on using PowerPoint. And at the end of the session, what it'll do is it'll also email you a log report. Who reacted, who looked back at previous slides. It tells you all the data about those who interacted with your slideshow and your session. And it's a great little tool. Final thing, again, just to recap with the PowerPoint on 365, is this rehearse with coach. We hit rehearse with coach, we start rehearsing, and what we'll do is it will record you as you present. So if you say things like policeman and fireman is the way to go ahead, because it will tell me things that may be inappropriate, and it will help address things. So if I suddenly start seeing me really fast and make sure that my PowerPoint is really not very good, it's going to pick that up and it's going to, okay. It's going to start identifying little errors. At the end of my presentation, it'll give me this report. Again, if we're thinking about ways to improve our tutors and help support them, this is the great way of doing it. You know, this is something that I'd probably even give to my NQTs when they're doing their first lesson. I'd say, go do rehearsal report. You know, I work with a lot of guys that get very nervous, and the first lesson they teach, they speak at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Give them this. Let them analyze how they're doing. It's a great way of self-assessment. Now, someone has asked about polling and adding polling. You can, if you go to the App Store that's on your PowerPoint, which is insert and then add-ins. Now, under add-ins, I can't add them. It doesn't allow me, even though I've spoken to our team, they wouldn't allow me to have add-ins. But there is one called My Poll, and My Poll allows you to put polls and word clouds and bits and pieces on your PowerPoints directly. So if you do get a chance, look at My Poll. It is on there as a tool. It is really kind of good. Would I use these tools for blended learning? Definitely. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to, you know, send it out to the classroom, get their feedback and get them to engage. So that's really it kind of with the PowerPoint. However, there's one thing I forgot to show you. I want to quickly go back to Word. Now with the Word, there's quite a few bits. Oh, the button for rehearse, we go back to our PowerPoint, is under slideshow, you've got rehearse with coach. So if you do want to practice it, rehearse with coach, and that'll be in there. Again, if I go to rehearse with coach and I do my session, it then just says start rehearsing. Now I've got the option for show real-time feedback, which is where it starts giving me feedback as I go through. So if I do say fireman, policeman and stuff. So it also picks up swearing, which I tried, you know, just because I'm a child and I liked it. The last thing I wanted to quickly look at is, I think one of the things that you can get on here, which is useful, let's go back to an assignment, is under, let me hide that. Here we go. So under review, we have, we've got the editor, there we go. We've got the autocorrect, we've got the proofing language. It is, I wrote it down somewhere and I can't see where I've hidden it. I have something here. Ah, there it is. There we go. Under editor, and this is on the Word, once a student has written it, it actually, this is something that you get with Grammarly, which costs $9.99 a month. But what it does is it reads your work for you and gives you a score as to how well written it is put together. And this is available on the Word one. Immersive Reader is on all Microsoft tools. It's on every Microsoft tool, Immersive Reader. Now with the editor here, it tells me any corrections that it's made. So it will go through and it'll go, okay, that's something you need to change. So I can hit that and it'll change it for me. It'll go through. It'll also go through my grammar. It'll identify, you know, as to the reason why it has picked that up as an error in my work. It'll go through things such as acronyms. Okay, so they've just put UK there. They need to put UK, then in brackets, United Kingdom. So I can click that and it will change it for me. And it'll pick out all these bits and pieces. It'll look at how concise the work is. So maybe I need to just change this and it will give me my stats. And this is under editor and this is on the Microsoft Word file really. So it's a great way of looking at, again, that focus on self-assessment for the students. How is your work? Well, click on editor, go have a look how you think it is. How can you get support? And I think that's a really kind of key thing going forward. I know Grammarly is $9.99 a month and it has all these features here. This is completely free and it's available on Office 365. And that's kind of the main tools I wanted to look at with Office. It's a great little bits of pieces. There's so much out there for you to play around with. I think with the maths one, again, the fact I had to resort to work out maths on a piece of paper tells you how much I know about it. But it's just getting involved, playing with it. Yeah, Word will also give you a reader gauge for your writing. I hide that one. There's lots of little things that are on there. Yeah, I think someone put there, didn't know half that existed. I didn't know any of it existed, I'll be honest. There was a session at my place and it was like, come and learn about Office 365. And I went, I couldn't think of anything worse in my life. No. So I refused to go. Schoolboy. I missed out on a lot of different things. thank you all so much for your contributions to everything that we've done here today. I really do hope you continue. It's one of the great things that I hear a lot from my trainee teachers is that people who work in education, they get to a point and they don't want to continuously learn. And I can go back to them now and say, shh, it's a lie. We've had such fantastic numbers every single week, and it's really great to kind of see that you're all kind of involved and learning, and just it's good. I will put this video on YouTube, and then what I'll do is I'll put the link on all the classroom pages so you can go back through it again. I'll put the functions on for things like umlauts and egregs and stuff. I can't remember that much. I only got a C in French, so can't remember what I got in German. But again, thank you so much for coming along, guys. Steve's out on his walk, so he's not there, I'm afraid. And just best of luck. Any questions that you have, even if it's a month down the line, email me. More than happy to answer, because if I don't know the answer, it gives me a challenge to go and find out what it is. Because that's why I did this session tonight, was because someone said, what can we do for maths? And I went, I don't know, don't really care. But I went and I had to go find it. Go have yourselves a lovely evening and a wonderful summer. It's good fun. So cheers, guys. I will see you all later on. And yes, I will add the original 365 session. I'm playing catch up. So cheers, guys. Thank you.